What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, June 24th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 1700 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East and from Europe and from Asia. So I wanted to update you guys on the situation with Iran. But before I get into that, I wanted to share some interesting news coming out of China. So apparently China's secretive Shenlong reusable space plane deployed an unidentified object in Earth orbit, which was detected and independently cataloged by commercial space surveillance firm Leo Labs. The unknown object was first spotted on June 22nd, 2026 by a tracking radar in New Zealand operating in close proximity to the Chinese aircraft. Tracking data shows the object did not correlate with any existing tracked debris or satellites, confirming it was freshly ejected by the space plane. This launch behavior follows a distinct tactical pattern. China's robotic spaceplane previously deployed unidentified objects during its second and third missions to practice rendezvous and proximity operations. The uncrewed vehicle is highly classified and roughly comparable in capability and design to the U.S. Space Force's Boeing X-37B. It launched its fourth highly secretive mission earlier this year on February 7th. So this is very concerning, guys. China launching some kind of object from their classified space plane, and it's very similar to our X-37B, which I think was launched like over 10 years ago. And the X-37B just loops around Earth in orbit. And I think the longest it's been up there was like a year and a half or something like that. So I don't know if this is a space bomber that the Chinese have, or what this object is that they released. Probably some kind of anti-satellite weapon or maybe an EMP. But just make sure you guys are continuing to prepare, especially for the possibility of an EMP. And France reported its first case of Ebola amid the outbreak in Africa. A patient who's a doctor that returned from Congo on a humanitarian mission tested positive. So not super alarming, because this person was a doctor who was actively working in the Congo in these areas. But still, we have to be on high alert. And Israel and Lebanon are discussing a U.S.-backed pilot project to transfer control of parts of southern Lebanon from the Israeli military to the Lebanese military. Under the proposal, participating Lebanese troops would undergo U.S. training and security vetting to ensure no ties to Hezbollah, while Israel would maintain a military buffer zone. And this is contradicting what Netanyahu said earlier today. He said that the Israeli military will never leave southern Lebanon. And the first day of Israeli-Lebanese talks in Washington ended without any progress, with major disagreements over the scope and timing of an Israeli withdrawal. The discussions became increasingly tense, and the gaps between the two sides remained wide. U.S. mediators are now effectively restarting the talks in an effort to soften positions and get negotiations back on track. Okay, so this is very concerning. Looks like the Israeli-Lebanon talks have collapsed essentially. Okay, and this whole discussion of Lebanese troops taking over, it's probably not going to happen. Okay. And as U.S. brokered Israel-Lebanon talks in Washington, D.C. are actively in session, reports indicate that Israel conducted a strike in southern Lebanon, as reports also come in of additional Israeli drone activity over the capital of Beirut. So Israel's not going to stop striking Hezbollah. They've made it clear. that the Iran deal is separate from them. Okay, they are not part of this deal. Okay, so they're going to strike Lebanon as much as they want, and that's the major issue that Iran has with this agreement that they're making with the U.S. So it doesn't look like there's going to be a deal. I've said that from the beginning. I think we're going to be going back to war with Iran. And I personally think, in my opinion, that we're going to see the war kick off after the 4th of July or possibly towards the end of the summer, because Trump doesn't want to start a war right before our 250th birthday as a nation. And he probably doesn't want to start a war in the middle of the summer when people are traveling and cause fuel prices to skyrocket even more. So he may wait until, let's say, September, or he may wait until after next week. We'll have to wait and see. That's just my hunch. I could be wrong. And Netanyahu said today, as long as I am prime minister, we will maintain the security zone in southern Lebanon. And Trump said today that Iran has informed the U.S. that no tolls, no insurance costs, and no other charges of any kind are being sought or received by Iran on ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said that if this information is false, then negotiations would immediately end. So there's some contradiction here. Okay, Trump claiming that Iran told them that they will not charge any tolls over the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran has made it clear multiple times that they will retain control over the Strait of Hormuz and that they will charge tolls even as part of an agreement. Okay, so that's why I said it's not going to happen. Okay, Iran doesn't want to lose their nuclear weapons or nuclear material. They want to build their nuclear weapons. Trump also said today that the war is going very well. As you know, we are winning by a lot. Iran is making very big concessions. We will see what happens, but it's very, very powerful. It's going to be very well. Okay, so I don't know if I agree with what he's saying, but that's what he said nevertheless. He also said Iran is being very nice. They're agreeing to everything that I want, and they have to. Otherwise, we just go back and do what we have to do. So also not true. Iran is not being nice, and they're not agreeing to everything that Trump wants. Rubio said that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open and free. He said that today in Kuwait. He's on a trip to visit the Middle East. Rubio also said about Iran, we are not going to do anything that undermines the security of our long-standing allies in the region. Okay, so he's trying to reassure the allies, specifically Kuwait, the UAE, and Bahrain. Rubio just left the UAE and is now in Kuwait, and then he's going to go to Bahrain. Rubio said the technical teams will return to Switzerland on June 29th to resume talks with Iran. And Trump is going to meet today with U.S. defense contractors to push for higher weapons production. Industry executives say companies cannot heavily invest in expanding capacity until Congress appropriates supplemental funding, warning early spending will harm cash flow. All right, so we depleted like half of our missiles, guys, in this war with Iran, and we have nothing to show for it. We depleted half of our Patriot missiles, half of our THAAD missiles. I think we also depleted like half of our Tomahawk missiles, and who knows what other kind of weapons we depleted. Okay, and these are the type of missiles you cannot just rebuild overnight. These are highly precise interceptor missiles for highly precise air defense systems, and they have very complicated guidance systems. Okay, so you can't just build them in a couple of days. Okay. And the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Israel's account with the Houthis remains open, warning they will pay a price and that Israel would eliminate their leader if he comes into its crosshairs. Israeli Channel 14 reported the defense establishment in Israel is preparing for renewed fighting in Yemen and updating operational plans. Okay, so it looks like Israel's going to be going after the Houthis very soon. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And the Iranian foreign minister spoke with the Saudi foreign minister this afternoon by phone. And Colombia's new president, Abelardo Espriella, said Colombia will restore and strengthen its relationship with the State of Israel like never before. Israel can count on Colombia as a loyal friend and steadfast ally. May God bless our two nations. Wow. So it looks like there's going to be a big change in Colombia. Colombia has always been a socialist narco country dominated by the cartels and socialist communist leaders. And so this is a huge victory for the people of Colombia to actually have a normal government for a change that's not influenced by cartels and countries like Russia and China and communism. And satellite images confirm Ukraine conducted a strike on the Dubna Space Communications Center in Moscow region on June 22nd. The facility is Russia's largest satellite communication hub, supporting government communications, nuclear test monitoring, and international links. At least 2 impacts were recorded. So Ukraine is continuing to strike high-value targets deep inside of Russia. And we're also hearing about damage after Storm Shadow missile attacks in the Voronezh region of Russia. Satellite imagery shows significant damage at the Voronezh semiconductor devices plant following yesterday's cruise missile strikes. At least 2 large production buildings appear to have been heavily damaged in the attack. So they hit this space communications center, okay, the largest satellite communication hub. Then they hit a semiconductor plant in Russia. And then here is a gas processing plant that they recently hit as well. So Ukraine is really hitting deep inside of Russian territory. And Zelensky ordered Ukrainian intelligence and the Ukrainian army to strike preemptively at facilities across Russia. He said the Russian leadership is now pulling air defenses towards Moscow, Valdai, and the Kerch Bridge at the expense of other areas, concentrating hundreds of S-400, S-500, and Pantsir launchers in the Moscow region and nearly 90 launchers at Valdai. So he's basically saying that the Russian leadership is concentrating its air defenses around the VIP locations, Moscow and Valdai. Valdai is where Putin has one of his residences, and the Kerch Bridge, but they're pulling them away from other areas. So he's basically saying that Ukraine is going to take advantage of that now. So looks like Russia is on the defensive now, and Ukraine is on the offensive. And the U.S. State Department official Jeremy Levin said Ukraine is currently winning the war, arguing Kyiv has entered a new phase and successfully changed the battlefield dynamic. He said Ukrainian forces are maintaining pressure, including strikes against infrastructure inside of Russia. Russia's fuel crisis is spreading as Ukrainian strikes hit oil infrastructure. After shortages erupted in occupied Crimea, gas stations across dozens of Russian regions began limiting sales, with local authorities now imposing restrictions in over 10 regions. Okay, so massive fuel shortages going on in Russia. And Reuters is reporting that Russia has approached Kazakhstan about supplying around 50,000 tons of gasoline as fuel shortages worsen. Russian gasoline production has fallen by about a quarter compared with last year amid refinery disruptions. Wow, a quarter, 25% drop in gasoline production. Wow. And Reuters reports that the Moscow oil refinery that was hit last week multiple times is unlikely to resume production this year after suffering extensive damage by Ukrainian drone strikes. Repairs are expected to take at least 6 months, worsening fuel shortages and pressure on Russia's energy sector. And NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte told Fox News that Ukraine is doing well on the battlefield. They are killing and seriously wounding about 30,000 Russians a month. Wow, those are insane numbers, guys. Absolutely insane. And the U.S. State Department today condemned reported harassment of commercial vessels by the Chinese Coast Guard east of Taiwan, labeling the actions deeply destabilizing. The State Department explicitly rejected Beijing's claims of regional authority, pledging to protect freedom of navigation and lawful maritime activity. And Britain just logged its hottest June day on record. Apparently they hit 97 degrees Fahrenheit in southern England, beating the old record, which dates back to 1976 and 1957. Okay, so record heat in Great Britain and France and Western Europe, and it is expected to spread eastward into parts of Eastern Europe where there could be over 40 degrees Celsius temperatures in places like the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, and the Carpathian Mountain region. Okay, so this is totally insane. And meteorologists say the most extreme conditions are still ahead, with record-shattering temperatures expected across much of France in the coming days. They're expecting temperatures to hit 113 degrees in France. London could hit 102, Amsterdam 93, Berlin 100, Paris 106. So totally insane temperatures, guys. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live stream. And in the meantime, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/NYPrepper, to get all these updates without any advertisements and with priority. So I always post my updates there before I post them to YouTube. And YouTube takes a while because they're very bureaucratic. They have all these checks they have to do on every single video, which can take upwards of an hour from the time I upload to the time I can release a video once the checks are done. So I always post it right to Patreon. Patreon, you know, it goes up immediately. As soon as I upload it, boom, I can just post it. No checks required. Okay, but that's it for now. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19, and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef, so no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com. One word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order. And the link and the promo code are in the description down below.